Hey friends, it's Melissa Enns here, and I don't have time to make a really fancy video today, but I keep thinking about the eclipse and the sun and the moon and Earth, and did a bunch of math last night because I I wanted to really understand a bit more the size of the moon compared to the Earth compared to the sun. Okay, so this is the short version. Someday I will make a longer version of this if people want it. But here is what I figured out without telling you all the math of how I figured it out. So this, surprisingly, and this. So I have just kind of a normal Dollar Tree size beach ball and a little other plastic ball. And when I measured them and used the math formulas for the volume, so that's like how much these would hold if they were filled with water. Okay. So these two balls, this one is 11 inches in diameter. So from one side to the other side, if you pulled a string straight through, this is 11 inches. This is 3 inches from one side to the other. And the volume is exactly the right proportion for how big the moon is compared to how big our Earth is. Okay. So to put it in another way, this represented, if you filled this up with water as a representation of the moon and you poured it into the Earth, it would take about 50 moons to fill up the Earth. Okay, so that's about how big the moon is compared to the Earth. As far as how far away they are from each other, I figured it out, and let me show you. Let's see, I'll share my screen. So here's the same ball, and here's the moon in on this scale based on these balls. The moon is 28 feet away. So you can fit basically 30 Earths, whatever size Earth you're talking about, you can fit 30 Earths between the Earth and the moon. So whether you're talking about a real Earth or a ball, it doesn't matter. You can fit 30 Earths between the Earth and our moon. What about the sun? What size ball would we need to make a sun that is the right size compared to an Earth that is the size of a beach ball? Think about that for a minute. Make a prediction. And I will tell you the answer is that you would need a ball the size of the Save Mart Center parking lot, and including the Save Mart Center. So I went to the Save Mart Center, on my way home from taking my son to school this morning, and I walked it and measured it. And this circle might be a tiny bit too big, but basically this is the Save Mart Center, which is the big arena here in Fresno. And this is the big parking lot. And from here to here is about 2/10 of a mile. And that is how big the sun would be if the Earth was this size. So if the Earth was this size and the moon was this size, the sun would be 2/10 of a mile, or the size of this parking lot. And remember, that's not just how big it is across, it's also how tall it is. So someday I'm going to have my son make a 3D picture of what this looks like for us with his computer, because he can do that, because I think it would be so cool to see. But I, didn't have time this morning. So if the sun is this big, and the Earth is a beach ball, and the moon is this tiny ball, well, how close is the sun to the Earth? Well, the sun is here. It's that size. Our Earth would be way up here at Herndon. So if you're from Fresno and you know where Herndon is compared to the Save Mart Center, it's 2 miles away. So over here, 2 miles away, we would have the Earth and the moon. And then way over here, we would have this giant ball sphere, and that would be the sun. Okay. So here's the lesson that I think God has for us today. This compared to a sun the size of a parking lot, a large parking lot, this is so much smaller. But, and like the real moon is so much smaller than the sun. It's even a lot smaller than the Earth. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you were to, so if it takes 50 moons to fill up the Earth, it takes, how many moons do you think it takes to fill up the sun? 64 million. Yes, 64 million of these to fill up the parking lot size sun. Okay, so, but here's what I want you to remember today. Nothing can separate us from God's love. Just like the moon cannot block us from seeing the light of the sun. Not our problems, not our difficulties, not our pain, not our sadness, not our confusion, not our depression, not our sin, not our mistakes. Nothing can block us from God's love in Jesus. And there might be times where, like, if I put this little moon, if I put it closer to my camera, it can block the whole camera. But it's just an illusion. It's not really that big. It's much smaller than I am. It's much smaller than this pretend Earth. And it's so much smaller than an enormous sun would be. I love how God teaches us things through creation. I believe that the entire Earth is just a textbook. It says that the whole world is filled with the glory of God, and I believe that. So if you are able to see, maybe right now you are getting to watch the solar eclipse in some other part of the country, I'm so excited for you. For the rest of us, let's just be excited today thinking about how huge God's love is for us, that it's big enough that even it's bigger than the sun. And it's just God's love sustains us, just like the sun's energy is transformed by plants on our planet into food that we eat that sustain our bodies. God's love sustains our hearts. And I pray that you would know and just marvel and be blessed by his love today as you enjoy something super cool in creation today. Bye.